Hey, welcome back to World Entertainment, and the first reactions for Supergirl are in. It's funny because they are absolutely in line with what we were hearing from the test screenings, all bloody 500 of them that they apparently had, where they said Millie Alcock is great, Jason Momoa is a blast, but the villain is underwhelming and the movie overall is a mess. That is the same things that's happening with the reactions. Now, these are, of course, the first social media reactions, so they're not the full reviews and stuff. However, apparently some idiots didn't get the memo and actually thought the lifting of the social media embargo meant that the actual review embargo had lifted, and they put out their full reviews. I haven't come across those ones, but I've heard about them. But keep in mind, these are the people who were hand selected to come and watch this movie to give it a positive spin. So you're not getting the people coming out going like, you know what, I was hugely let down, the movie's a disaster, it's a mess, whatever like that. These are the people who will skate around issues and just say, oh, it's got a couple of issues here and there, but overall it soars, because that's the key word to keep using this time around. So we'll take a look at it, because there's still massive bad news for this movie. In fact, we'll have a look at what said bad news is, because here's where the reactions are. Even after the reactions come out, you get this. Supergirl opening estimates weekend drop again, despite largely positive first reactions. So even after they put out basically their shill reactions, because that's what they are, the weekend numbers have dropped again. There's even speculation that this movie won't even be number one in its opening weekend. That Toy Story 5, which will be on its second weekend when this comes out, will still top it. But then you're also getting this. Supergirl opening in far fewer theaters than Superman. So it's not even getting the same amount of theaters that Superman got. That is very bad news. So on top of horrible tracking, people really showing no interest in this movie, and now you're losing theaters already. Oh, this thing is dead on arrival. It is absolutely done. And yeah, I saw the whole thing about the queer icon. I'll probably make a video of that later on or over the weekend or something. But look, everyone is screaming at Millie Alcock for that. In fairness, I will back her up on this. What was she supposed to do? The journalist knew what she was doing. The journalist asked her the question, put it in the way of, hey, you're a gay icon as Supergirl, blah, blah, blah. So, again, that's for another video. But let's have a look at the reactions, because, again, they're your typical shill reactions that kind of overpraise it. Some of them really overpraise it. You'll see what I mean. So the first one here says, Supergirl isn't a classic, but it's pacey, fun, and hits most of the targets it aims for. Millie Alcock is great as the titular heroine, and Momoa, his Lobo, is a blast. Other big wins are the action, humor, and when it leans into physical production and costume design are thumbs up. I'm curious as what the hell he means by physical production. Okay. Look at this swarmy looking fucker. Hang on. You just have to click. Look at this dude. Gee, that tells you everything you need to know about what we're about to read. So, Supergirl is the superhero movie I've missed. A straightforward, poignant story with lots of emotion, especially when we see Kara through little Ruthie's eyes. Luckily, that's every action scene. Millie Alcock absolutely owns the role and will change our idea of Supergirl forever. Will she though? That's the big question, because I don't think they're going to be around all that too much. So, Supergirl is a messy film, but its strongest moments come when it allows its characters to be vulnerable as they navigate destiny and finding their place. Millie Alcock makes for an awesome Supergirl despite some of the script issues and an uninteresting villain. It still soars. Now, just before I go on, I want you to start noticing something. The emotion and vulnerability are the key words that they keep saying. All of them keep going on about vulnerability and emotions. So that's the buzzwords they were clearly given. And then, of course, you notice they don't really describe the movie and stuff like that. They keep describing her. So take that for what you will. Unfortunately, Supergirl is a mixed bag for me. As a fan of the comic, I was, perhaps, overly excited for the film adaptation. While Jason Momoa's Lobo and Millie Alcock shine, some adaptation choices and a bland villain keep it from greatness. It's simply put, just fine. Now that's the most critical review out of all of these ones that are here. Now, when she says she's a fan of the comic, I'm going to have to assume she means the Woman of Tomorrow comic book, which also tells you everything you need to know because that's a god-awful comic book. But overall, that's the most negative of these reactions that you will get. So this dude, who Supergirl is highly enjoyable. It doesn't quite have the resonance of Superman, but it acts as both a perfect companion and follow-up to that movie with better characters and more complex relationships. It's also incredibly emotional, which makes the action hit even harder. So again, they are the emotional crap and blah blah blah. Oops, that wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. But I find his statement there interesting that he says it's got better characters and complex relationships than Superman. That's interesting to see them saying these are better than Superman, where it's like, okay. So Supergirl channels the energy of Gunn's Superman, that's not good news for people, while carving out its own identity. Surprisingly dark themes, Mad Max vibes, and a John Wick style motivation drive the story. Millie Alcock shines and Jason Momoa brings his trademark chaotic charm. I really dug Supergirl. Millie is excellent and I too am a hot mess who locks in for work. What kind of first reaction for what the movie is that? I dug Supergirl. I'm just like Millie Alcock. I'm a fucking hot mess. Yeah, great. Supergirl is not at all what I was expecting. I too assumed superhero space movie with needle drops would have a similar tone to Guardians of the Galaxy or even Superman. Instead, it looks and plays more like a Mad Max movie with dirty worlds, gross villains and a self-destructive hero. Because that's what you want. You want the hero that's self-destructive and messy and just doesn't care. Why? What is the point? As for, by the way, you see how they said it doesn't go in line with Guardians of the Galaxy and stuff? That's not exactly what we hear later on. Here is, now, if this one up here, this girl here has the most critical of the reviews, this next one is the biggest shill review. Supergirl is the blockbuster of the summer. Terrific action, but what sells it is the heart and the characters. Millie Alcock is a force to be reckoned with. Eve Ridley is also incredible and Jason Momoa is pitch perfect as Lobo. One of the best DC films. You're shilling too hard. That is what you insert there, geeks of colour. So they're saying it's the best blockbuster of the entire summer and the best DC film. So they're saying this thing is better than the likes of Dark Knight and whatnot. Yeah, I'm going to press X to doubt. Here's where the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff comes in. Supergirl is a solid follow-up to last year's Superman, more serious and emotionally heavier in tone. It delivers a cool intergalactic road trip that evokes Guardians of the Galaxy, with a dash of Mad Max Fury Road and a bit of For the Dark World. We'll swing back to that in a second. His second part says, Millie Alcock is a total badass, delivering a performance that's both fierce and vulnerable as Kara Zor-El. Can't wait to see her in future interactions with her cousin and other heroes in the DCU. Keep them coming. Well, after Man of Tomorrow, you probably ain't gonna ever see them again. He's just said, it is in line with Guardians of the Galaxy, where the other person's like, it doesn't. But he also doesn't just go with Mad Max. He says Mad Max Fury Road, which people will argue, that's not a Mad Max movie. I don't give a shit what you say. And for the Dark World, out of all the 4 movies you could have picked, you picked the first one that was delivered, that critics and everybody went, this sucks. So you have it being in line with a movie nobody wants it to be in line with. That also invokes vibes of a Mad Max movie that everybody says isn't a Mad Max movie, and one of the worst 4 movies. Oh yeah. Get excited, people. I enjoyed Supergirl. Millie Alcock and Eve Ridley are the heart of the film, and they make for a dynamic duo who are extremely fun to watch. The movie has some thematically dark moments that were very well done and perfectly capture the emotional beats of the story with ease. Once again, you notice every review, basically every single one of them, brings up vulnerability and emotion. So that is the key words that they were given to say. I was mostly hopeful going in, even with a few reservations. I love Craig Gillespie's work, and I was excited to see Millie Alcock take on this role. But for me, Supergirl felt bland, and I left wishing she had been given stronger material to show what she can really do. So there's another quite negative one. Here's the problem, John. The material she was given is the strongest material that she could have been given, because they adapted one of the worst comic book runs that there was for Supergirl. So you got exactly what the comic book was, for the most part. And the last one says, Millie Alcock steps into the role of Supergirl wonderfully, and it's refreshing to root for a heroine with a unique hard edge. Unfortunately, the film around her takes far too long to step into gear and never quite matches her energy. And the last one is James Gunn saying get tickets. And I love that he's putting in the clip of her meeting her cousin. Yet the first image you see for him saying get Supergirl tickets is an image of fucking Superman. Well done, James. But yeah, one of the main things that is evident through all of these first reactions, which again go absolutely in line with everything that was coming out from the test screenings, is Millie Alcock is great as Supergirl, as Kara Zor-El. Everything else other than Jason Momoa basically is a mess and underwhelming. So as we all said, and everyone keeps going, oh, you just won't like Supergirl and you hate women and blah blah blah, you hate Millie Alcock. Nobody had an issue with Millie Alcock. Everyone in our circle came around and said she's a great choice. Every one of us had the issue with what story they were adapting. And what's going to be funny is when this movie comes out and ultimately bombs, because it's going to bomb. It'll be doing well if it can hit 300 million at this stage. They're going to say, oh, it's because you're all misogynist and you're sexist and you're this and you're that and all the ists and phobes, and you just want to accept women in these roles. And then they're going to have, what? What do you? No, don't look over there. Don't look at Wonder Woman, even though it was super successful. No, it's because you're sexist. What? No, don't look over there. Captain Marvel and making $1 billion. No. It's because you're, what? No, don't look up there at the Supergirl TV series that went for over 7 seasons. That's the reaction. How can you say you just didn't accept it because it's a movie led by a woman when the likes of Wonder Woman absolutely smashed the box office? It's crazy. First reactions are in. They're the shield type of reactions, but you can see even they're saying it is a bit of a mess of a movie. But what do you guys think? Does it get you any more excited? Does it turn you off the movie even more? Do you at this stage even give a flying fuckaroony about this movie? Let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, hit that hype button, check out the memberships, all that good stuff. Cheers. Catch you in the next one.